Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Tonight we're checking out a 2022 Toyota RAV4 at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview and test drive videos. Those are separate videos. So first I want to point out that if you want the engine running and the exterior lights to turn off, all you have to do is turn the headlight switch to the DRL off position and all the exterior lights will be off. So this is a nice feature. Some vehicles, when you turn everything off on the switch, you still have some exterior lights on. This is not like that. You simply turn the switch off and you have them all off. Now I have the parking lights on, and when I turn the parking lights on, here in the front, there's a very bright LED light strip here at the top, and the headlight will actually be on a lower setting. It is actually on, but it's a lower power setting. And so that combination right there can be mistaken for headlights. It's because it looks just about like the headlights being on, except for they're just dimmer. So it's real easy to accidentally switch the switch to parking lights and then drive around and not realize you don't have the actual headlights on. So that's something you want to keep in mind. There's also an amber side marker here on the side that turns on. But you can see there is it's a projector. Let me turn the brightness down. It's a projector. Before I turn the actual headlights on, it looks just like the headlights. You can see right there. It's just a projector housing. This is a LED headlight and a projector housing, and then that LED strip there at the top. You can see what it looks like before I turn the headlights on. The turn signal is a standard amber flashing bulb here on the front next to the headlights. There's also a turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. It's not super bright, but you can barely see it during the day, but it is visible. And you can see it from the front, the side, and the back. But like I said, it's not super bright during the day. And then there's the turn signal. It is an amber turn signal, standard bulb, in contrast with the red tail lights here. Now, the camera kind of makes the taillights look a little orangey, but they are red and the turn signal is amber. So it's two different colors, so that way you can tell the difference. Hopefully the camera's picked it up. I'm trying to lower the brightness a little bit. Sometimes that helps out. You can see that's the red, and there's the amber flashing bulb. And there's the taillights. Now the taillights kind of wrap around a little bit and has a side marker here. This is all red, kind of looks a little orangey, but it is red. Okay, so now this is actually the parking lights. Now that's the headlights. And let's go ahead and turn off the fog lights just so we can see. There's not a huge, see there's parking lights, there's headlights. Like, it's already like 80% there. So it's real easy to mistake those parking lights as headlights. Wow. Okay, so we'll go ahead and turn on the headlights, turn on with the fog lights and see what it looks like. And I'll show you what it looks like going down the road as well. Okay, so now we have a reflector LED fog light. And the headlights is the same projector LED for the headlight, it's just brighter now. There's the fog light. It is a reflector instead of the projector. You see it here at the top. And there's the low beams, there's the high beams. And when you turn on the high beams, the fog lights turn off and it basically just refocuses those projectors. So it's not turning on any additional light, it's just refocusing the existing light in these projectors. So it basically looks the same just by looking at it. It just has a different focus. And you know, the point in which the light is just in a higher position as well, so it can dip down, and the further you go out, you'll notice it's in much higher position here, so you can get a better look down the road. So I have the camera brightness a little bit brighter than really your eyes, just so you can see what's going on with the interior. Here in the trunk area, there's a single light, and it's there on the right side, and it kind of casts light in here, but you can see it diminishes quite a bit. And this area over here is pretty dark. It's, of course, is brighter closer to the light. Also, if you put some tall object here, it's going to cast a shadow. It's going to block this light and cast a shadow across the entire cargo area. So even though that light's a little bit bright, it's a LED, it could be a lot better back here. Going to have one on this side and have one here at the top. Shining down would be even better. Now there is a light in the back seat here. It's kind of a little bit of it spills back here, but it's not that much. It's mostly in the back seat. The button that you use to lower the power tailgate here is not illuminated, so you'll have to find that in the dark. Feel for it. The inside of the back door, completely dark, except for this one button right here. That's the power window button, has a little finder light on it. But the pockets are dark and everything else is just dark. Now the back seats, this has a black interior, which doesn't help the lighting situation. You can see there is that one dome light that illuminates this whole area. And it does a halfway decent job. It's not spectacular, but it, you know, you can see in here. And like I said, I have the camera a little bit brighter than what you would see in real life, just so you can see what's going on. There's some USB charge ports back here, not illuminated. So you're just gonna have to feel your way around in the dark for those. Inside of the driver's door here in the front, no puddle lights, no pocket lights, no lights whatsoever, other than some backlit buttons here for the controls. That's it. Now there is some light there in the floorboard, kind of dim light, but it's a nice little addition there. It's looking pretty good. So right here, some backlit buttons. In the interior lights, there's actually two of them, and you can turn them on independently when you have the interior lights off. But you can see it does a halfway decent job of illuminating the front. So you have that dome light in the back, and the two dome lights here in the front, kind of illuminating this area, plus the light in the floorboard. Okay, so I have the doors open. Let's go ahead and shut the door and see what was left. Quickly, the interior lights turn off quickly. And we have some backlit buttons here on the steering wheel. You see the floorboard illumination, nice and soft. But it's nice to have a little bit of extra light. There's the gauges with the screen there. And we have a screen up here. Center controls. And start to get into some issues around here. So right in this area is this whole pocket right here that you probably didn't even see. This is charge ports, USB, and a wireless charge port there. You can see it just kind of like completely no light there. So there's the shifter. And also, speaking of no light, let's go ahead and look back over here, because this is kind of an issue here. You can see this is where you turn on the headlights. So this is all dark. This is not illuminated at all. So that's another thing. That's how it's easy to accidentally put on the wrong setting, for one thing. And then if you did, it's easy to confuse it with your headlights with the parking lights. They're very similar. Okay, so the cup holders, there's like this little light in here. this kind of illuminating, but it's very, very soft. And it just kind of like shines on the other side there. So let's go ahead and put a bottle of water there and see if it, yeah, it doesn't really do anything. Usually lights in the glove compartment, I mean, cup holders like this, they kind of shine on a bottle and kind of glow, make it glow, but in this case it just doesn't do that. See, turn the light on so you can see what I'm trying to do. So this little light in here doesn't really do a whole lot, but it does have a light there. It doesn't really serve much purpose. It's not a functional light really. And speaking of that, let's look in the interior of this compartment. And there's two USB ports, which are actually backlit, which I'm shocked considering the rest of them are in the entire vehicle. But the compartment here is dark. So you can see it has another compartment that's completely just blacked out. So you have to either turn on the interior lights or have a flashlight or something in order to see here. See, completely dark. But for some reason, I mean, they ran power. They have electricity in there by having the USB ports, and they're illuminated. So whatever. Okay, so same thing. This glove compartment. This glove compartment is completely dark. No light. There's a whole pocket, a huge shelf right in here that's completely dark. There's a little shelf on this side that's completely dark. So that whole thing right there, you probably didn't even notice it before. So there's a lot of like storage areas in this vehicle, but at nighttime they're really hard to do much with because there's no illumination. Even when you turn on the interior lights, you know, some of those places like this compartment here, it's still dark. Like, it's hard to get light in that compartment. So just a little tiny bit of light would have gone a long ways. Glove compartment, center console, those compartments there, if just a little tiny bit of light in those areas would really help out a lot and make the vehicle look more luxury, more functional. This area right in here would have been better off with a little bit of light. So really drop the ball. I mean, this is, you know, this has been redesigned in 2019, the RAV4, and then they kind of did a little bit of work to it this year. So you'd think that would be addressed, but you know, I think what it is people don't buy cars at night so much, so they don't really notice a lot of the stuff. So it doesn't really affect the bottom line of the company, because they just like, well, they just sell it, and people don't. Once the person buys it, then they find out these flaws, you know. So maybe that's part of the problem, is that, you know, they're not really taking full consideration to the customer. They're focusing on the daytime sale, apparently. Not sure. Maybe you can explain it to me. Maybe you work for Toyota and there's some kind of rational reason why you are basically almost like insulting customers by not having basic lighting situations here. But anyway, moving on. There's the visor, has a light, turns on and off with this little thing here. Same thing on the passenger side, and there's some backlit buttons up here. And the rearview mirror is a screen, so it has the regular rearview mirror, like an actual mirror, and then it has the rearview camera system, which works really well at nighttime or daytime. It works really good. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what it looks like going down the road with the actual headlights, not the parking lights. So there's the low beams, there's the high beams, and when you put the low beams on, there's a clear cutoff right in here. And this tries to keep most of the light below the eyes of the other drivers. That's what the intention is anyway. But the automatic high beams, before we get started, just want to let you know that they are horrible. They flash other cars, blind people, and they just don't work very well. So I'm going to have them turned on right now, but I might have to turn them off because they are a huge problem And the headlights are bright enough to where it really could, you know, cause a problem, could cause a potential accident when you're very, very close to somebody, and then it's all of a sudden just switches the high beams right in front of their face for no reason whatsoever. Then, you know, that not a good thing. But anyways, let's go ahead and go down the road with it. So you can see that cutoff. Sometimes when you're going up and downhill, it will, you know, raise or lower that cutoff. But there is a kind of like a lower section on the side in which the oncoming traffic is. So it kind of helps compensate for that a little bit. I don't know if you can notice that cutoff is just slightly lower, just kind of dips down on that oncoming traffic lane, you know. So because when you're going up and hill, up and down, and it might actually shine too high on some of the cars directly in front of you, but that's just the way it is. You can see that cutout go, I mean, not the cutout, but the actual line go up and down as you hit bumps or going up and down hills. Okay, so here's a dark road with the high beams on, and it does a pretty decent job. It's not super duper bright, but you got a good, you know, you have good visibility. And even the low beams, you get a good spread across the sides, directly in front of the vehicle. So even with the low beams on, so there's the automatic high beams that are on now. So far they're working okay. It's pretty straightforward, I guess, because there's not a lot of street lights or anything. But yeah, you can see those trees in the distance, hopefully, the lines in the road, and now this is a fairly, you know, well-marked open space road, and to where the woods are cut back a little bit. But yeah, I think it does a good job for this size vehicles, you know, especially some the vehicles that are higher up but have a little bit of advantage because the light can shine further down the road. But you know, this one is good, I think. Except for the automatic high beams. Those are really bad. It's like some vehicles are better than others, and this one's not all that great. So right now it just dimmed them, so we're good. Thought I was gonna have to turn it off. But yeah, it all depends. And it's unpredictable when it's gonna blind people. But yeah, I think you can see pretty good as far as, you know, hopefully the camera's picking it up, that the visibility's good, and, you know, it doesn't, the brightness, the high beams don't add any additional light, and that's one little bit of a drawback. It just has the same light, it just lifts it up, basically. So, you know, it's almost like it's a little bit dimmer to some degree when you put it on high beams, because that same light now has to go over a broader area. So when it's on the low beams, the light's closer to the ground. Also, the fog lights can turn on. So the high beams, I think, could be a little bit better, definitely. If they had an additional light that turns on, I think it would be a little bit better. But I would say it's adequate.